Travis won't get so. So, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, murdered Joseph Smith, has 10 likes and 2 dislikes. Whereas, why don't Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon testify of Jesus Christ? 11 likes and 6 dislikes. Yeah, I'm getting more than the token 1, and that person knows they are a terrorist threat, and they laugh and go, ha ha ha, I'm terrorizing Travis, I own him. You're stupid. Stupid. Does not get it. Also, let's see if I can find that. LDS church president fails to ascend. Stephen Odell threatens to murder me and says, you claim they've stated they don't have authority. Yeah? Do I need to read it for you again? Because apparently you're not listening to the prophets. I'm listening to the prophets. You're not. And you think I'm wrong. Probably didn't even watch conference to know that your underwear is your bondage to the church. And you probably don't even know that that came from Oaks. In order to answer up your follow-up question. And so, yeah, they don't have authority. And it's multiple ways that they don't have authority. It's not just the one claiming the titles and not the gifts of the various prophet, seer, revelator, and translator. And technically the authorities are the keys, not those gifts. And so the church likewise, they claim Joseph Smith got them through literal dead zombies putting their hands on them. But they then stop there. And we're supposed to read, ponder, and pray about Joseph Smith getting the keys and just believe and accept that what this church is telling us is true. And I can assure you, yeah, just not zombie reality. Visions is the manner in which it was done. Visions are not reality. And so you need to understand the learning of the Jews. Stephen has been deceived by these prophets who have no authority to believe that the prophets have authority and have the keys. And nobody, not even Expo Nevermost, catch on to this. This church does not have authority because Brigham Young was not authorized to succeed Joseph Smith. Real, simple, basic, plain and precious, factual information regarding Joseph Smith's organization. The process of legal succession of Joseph Smith's church was not followed by anybody. Section 107, verse 22, for those of you who don't bother to study Mormonism and remain Mormon. And so this person, Stephen, should have known this. because he keeps going. Pardon me. No, I will not. If I don't take your word for it. Yeah, you're not going to study it either. That's my whole point of the videos here. This is just me talking to you. There kind of is prerequisite knowledge because I'm speaking to a Mormon audience. And yes, others who are ex-vo nevermos join in. But the prerequisite knowledge needs to be already understood by you, Stephen. And you don't know it. That's the sad reality of Mormonism. I'll try to remember to talk about it, because there's no script here, remember? It's just me talking with you. As you have no authority to speak for the church. True. But you just said, they said. I say that they said. So I'm not speaking as an authority for the church. I'm only telling you what the prophets tell. And you're not listening to them. But I do have those keys, all of them. I do have those gifts, not titles. And you aren't even bothering to look. And so, chapter and verse, please. For what? For what? Do you want me to go over it with you? Okay. Well, do it early. Doctrine and Covenants, section 28. Verse 2, talking to Oliver Cowdery. But behold, verily, verily, I say unto thee, no one shall be appointed to receive commandments and revelations. Revelator, title. Nelson and all the other 14 all claim the title of Revelator. Here it is. No one shall be appointed to receive revelations as a revelator. Hello, Stephen, chapter and verse. In this church, excepting my servant Joseph Smith Jr. For he receiveth them even as Moses. Who's Moses? You're probably thinking Christian, that he's a literal historical figure. You're not thinking Jewish. For the Jews, the man like Moses is the Jewish Christ. So, section 77, after Joseph Smith tells you how his succession was supposed to have been done, he talks about the duty of the president of the office of the high priesthood is to preside over the whole church. Nobody else is to receive commandments and revelations. Only Joseph Smith, who is the president of the office of the high priesthood, to preside over the whole church. Not the 12, not counselors, just the president, who was Joseph Smith. And like I said, Brigham Young and nobody else, none of them followed verse 22 to legally succeed Joseph Smith and preside over the whole church. To be the only ones. You use plural. Did you bother to go to verse 22? 3 presidents, not one, was to succeed Joseph Smith. Because the office of the president of the church is to be the man like Moses, the Jewish Christ. And if for some reason you are that illiterate of your scriptures because you've not bothered to study them, even though it's promoted in this church through several sources, it's the law of the Jews from where we get the man like Moses, the Christ of the Jews. Deuteronomy 18:15 through 19. Ta-da! You thought it was Jesus. Oops, you're an anti-Semite. So verse 92, behold, here is wisdom. Only the president of the church, who is the Christ, for Mormons, in the learning of the Jews, because it's a Jewish religion, if you hadn't caught on, is to be a seer, revelator. Remember? The only one to receive revelations for the church. Translator and prophet. Have you ever paid attention to conference? Did you ever listen to conference? Did you even go? Every single conference, they make you raise your right arm to the square and say, yes, may I have some more abuse? They want you to sustain their authority of titles. But there's a title missing. Can you guess which one it is? You're never going to know, because I'm not going to tell you, and you're not going to bother to look it up and listen. Like I said, I have all these gifts. I have all these keys. Because the Kirtland Temple, and section 27, verse 5. Because I have the keys, I know that it needs to be corrected in verse 5. It's Nephi, not Moroni. Because Joseph Smith made the change in 1838's history. Visionary accounts. I shouldn't have to be doing these kinds of videos for Mormons. Mormons should already know everything. Prerequisite knowledge for my videos. I should be explaining the scriptures from the Paleo-Hebrew version, the Egyptian versions, and yet here I am talking about basic, simple doctrine for Mormons, because Mormons are too stupid to understand it themselves. And we'll get back to his comment. He'll tell you how long he's been a stupid Mormon for. Section 43. There's so many elders who thought they knew better than Joseph Smith, but they didn't because they were using Christian Jesus. Thus, Joseph Smith only knows about it. That's what he means when he dares you to try to come up with a revelation. You can't do it because you're not thinking Jewish. I've done it. Easy. Again, I have all the gifts. I have all the keys. Do you not understand what that means, Mormons? I showed for the latter days in the learning of the Jews. You're still waiting for Jesus to come. Where is he? Is he still taking a piss? And you don't even know what I mean by that, because you don't know the biblical Hebrew translation of 1 Kings 18. Elijah versus the priests of Baal. It happened. But I still need to do that video for you because it's on the 26th. It could be my turn. We'll have to wait and see. Otherwise, it's just a general thing. But usually when I expose the enemy and their plot, they get pissed with me and go to plan B, C, D, E, F. And you have never thanked me for that, for saving your lives. And so, verse 2, talking to the whole elders of the church who think they know better than Joseph. For behold, verily, verily, I say unto you, that ye have received a commandment for a law unto my church through him whom I have appointed unto you to receive commandments and revelations from my hand. No, it's not Brigham. This is February 1831. Pulling an anachronism here. Dear God. And this ye shall know assuredly, that there is none other. Do you understand what that means? Do we need to go over definitions for you? Are you that illiterate? None other appointed unto you to receive commandments and revelations, as a revelator, until he be taken, if ye abide in me. But behold, verily I say unto you, that none other shall be appointed unto this gift, except it be through him, Joseph. Thus, Brigham Young claimed to have the document that said that Brigham Young was supposed to succeed Joseph Smith and James Strang and oops. No. It's already in the Doctrine and Covenants. In case nobody does, verse 22. For he shall have no power except to appoint another in his stead. And he does. And this shall be a law unto you, that you receive not the teachings of Brigham Young, or any that shall come before you as revelations or commandments. And this I give unto you, that you may not be deceived. Stephen. Whoops. Brigham Young, section 136. The word and will of the Lord. But he's not authoritative concerning the camp of Israel and their journeyings to the west. I just read it to you. Nobody. Don't receive any revelations by anyone who are not authorized. Stephen, who sent me a death threat. And so thus, if Brigham Young is not authorized, neither is John Taylor, neither is Wilford Woodruff. Verse 11 in his official declaration is hilarious. Nor Lorenzo Snow, nor Joseph F. Smith Sr., nor Heber J. Grant, and all of them up to Nelson. None of them are authorized. Not complicated. Basic Mormonism 101, for which I have a playlist for. And so who did Joseph pick? I don't know. Is it me? Section 103, verse 15. Behold, I say unto you, the redemption of Zion. Must needs come by power. Therefore, I will raise up seed, egg, baby. Also a pattern match for the wording in Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. Is it going to have the man like Moses in here? Unto my people, Mormons, seed, egg, baby, a man who shall lead the Mormons like as Moses, the Jewish Christ, who will have all the gifts, who will have all the keys. This is who Joseph Smith appointed. Do you believe Joseph Smith? Nope, you don't. You draw near to Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon with your lips, but your hearts are far from him. You preach lies with Christianity, with Jesus, even though you changed him to non-Trinitarian. So this is also in the Book of Mormon, 2 Nephi chapter 3, verse 5 specifically, and then it expands upon it throughout the rest of the chapter. Both Joseph and this man like Moses. Both of them are Christ. But there's only one. Jewish, not Christian. Joseph is Messiah ben Joseph. That's why Joseph of Egypt is being referred to. It's the Jewish Christ, to prepare the way for the Jewish Christ. Messiah ben David, whose name is Emmanuel. Crossroads of Emmanuel. And so Mormons are the children of Israel and must be led out of bondage of the covenant underwear. And are you believing this? No, you're not. So there's chapter and verse, please. In my 52 plus years in the church. Your whole life wasted, huh? That's got to be pretty sad for you. You had the Book of Mormon, you had the scriptures that I just read to you the whole time, and you wasted your life. Not me. You said it. Can't get mad at me for what you failed to do. Spent studying deeper than most. Well, yeah, because the church, after 1993 September 6th scandal, told Mormons not to study their scriptures anymore. So Mormons call it deep doctrine. They only want to study faith, and they failed to do that. And so, yeah, let's go over that now. In 1993, September 6th, there were 6 Mormons working for the church, doing church history research. They found things. Because they were faithful Mormons, they tried to reconcile and apologize for them. D. Michael Quinn turned Joseph Smith into a witch. Avraham Gileadi tried to say that the Jewish Christ is co-equal, sort of, he's side-by-side partners with Jesus. And then there were others. I think somebody found a rock. But this shook up the church. The prophets were devastated. They had just gotten over Mark Hoffman's forged document scandal that humiliated them into thinking that there was an actual document of a salamander talking to Joseph Smith. It could be true because that was what was going on with the witchcraft of that day. It's just too much. Oh, come on. Precious and few are the moments I too can share with you. So what was I gonna... Oh yeah. I was the first year seminary student who had the brand new quad. Fully footnoted, indexed, and with the Bible dictionary and the topical guide. So, the church prophets ordered the seminary teachers to instruct us on how to use the footnotes and the Bible dictionary and the topical guide. We were supposed to study our scriptures. They had scripture masteries where there were scriptures that the other kids were forced to memorize. I have associative memory. So in the scripture chase contests that we had for graduation, I was very good at it because my associative memory recalled where it was located on the page and in the column and such. And so the CD-ROM version that I have is a little bit tougher for me. I'm having to use a different part of my associative memory for them. But somewhere in those boxes are my originals from my mission, not my seminary ones. I got a new set for my mission. And so all of the seminary ones are long gone. And so that's how I was raised up in the church, is to study my scriptures, annotate them, highlight them, do referencing of such. If I were to show you my scriptures, you'd see. Annotation, referencing, all that. And I even did multiple versions of studying. I did an English grammatical study of the Book of Mormon. All different ways to study the Book of Mormon. And so this is the context that I grew up in, went on my mission with, and then in the first marriage, going up to Canada, I took a seminary teacher training course because I was that good and wanted to share with others through the seminary program to see if that can be a good career field for my new family. And I began the lessons in the same manner that I was taught in seminary, to study the scriptures. Unfortunately, this was after September 7th. Yep. Or September 6th. And so, after a few lessons, the director overall of Canada sat me down for a personal priesthood interview to review things with me, and said he would have loved to continue the practice of going into the scriptures and into the footnotes, because he too knew about it, and said that the church is now changing the direction of how to teach seminary kids, thanks to September 6th. Now, seminary kids are supposed to be entertained and manipulated their feelings, and we're supposed to call it the Spirit. And so no more the still small voice. From that moment on, because of September 6th, intelligence has been demonized by this church, intellectualized away, to be replaced with feelings, nothing more than feelings, trying to forget my feelings of intelligence, feelings, whoa, feelings. Now you understand why everybody misinterprets Moroni chapter 10 verses 3 through 5. Manifest the truth is now gone. It's still in there, but Mormons don't read anymore. And so thus Jasmine, enter Jasmine, stage left. Jasmine has entered the building. Hunka burnin' love. In which the missionaries knocked on their door and said, "Hey, we're missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Have you heard about the Book of Mormon?" "No." "Would you like to know more?" "Okay. Read, ponder, and pray, and get the right feeling. We'll be back next week to see how you're doing." And James and Jasmine did an oopsie and didn't pray to get the right feeling. They read, they studied, they went to the Joseph Smith papers, they learned things. They were confused by the tampering that had been going on. And so the missionaries ask, and they say, yeah, we've been reading the Book of Mormon. No, we didn't ask you to read the Book of Mormon and study it. We wanted you to pray about it and get the right feeling. And then join the church and begin paying us. The church. And so comedy ensues and humiliations galore for the missionaries, who are being taught about feelings in seminary, thinking they got it all figured out, and they don't when they get crushed by the Joseph Smith papers. So also at this time, psychologists entered into the school systems in the 90s, and likewise remodeled our educational system throughout the nation. No more do you study, because that's stressful, causes mental retardation, requiring drugging. And so now, to ease the stress of school and study, you just have to show up and participate, and you pass. And then you go out into the job market, and businesses go bust because you suck at the job, but you feel good about it. Yeah, big nightmare that's still continuing to this day. Psychology is evil. But nonetheless, yeah, you got a double whammy on Mormons, because psychology is still being used in Utah in the church's schools. All those PhDs from BYU's, oops, you know nothing, but you have the right feeling. Good for you. Here's a sticker. And so, yeah, Mormons now turn into couch potato Mormons, where they just participate in church, in conference. In fact, they don't even participate in conference anymore. They wait until the talks that are important for their eternal salvation are brought up in church. And then they just sit and listen to be compelled as to what to believe. This is what the church has turned you into. You're not studying, Mormons. You're being told what to believe, and you're supposed to feel good about it. And so you don't know Mormonism at all. But you're weaponized to attack those of us who do study. You become the enemy. You become a national security threat. You become a terrorist, a fundamentalist extremist, a murderer, an abuser of 8 children, a psychological manipulator thrown in prison, a psycho asylum closed down. Seeing the pattern here? Murderer of zombie kids. They all need the electric chair. And so, despite his spent studying deeper than most, not deeper than me, nonetheless, he believes, I've never heard such garbage. I like their song Crush. It's from the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack. Leonardo DiCaprio. Should that be the theme song? Oh, God. I think they also do a James Bond theme song, too. Isn't that the one where they're in the video? They're making a robot, an AI robot. Is that the same group? We can find out. We've got Google search now, even though it's AI. It may lead me astray and give me the wrong information. Tell me what to believe. Yep, the world is not enough. Oh, yeah. Yep, that's the family crest motto of Bond with Pierce Brosnan. Yep. The world is not enough. Maybe we should do that one. I love that song. Now they've got Superman gonna be the next Bond. I mean, yeah, great, Superman, my family crest also. But nonetheless, you can't continue Bond anymore. Daniel Craig, whom I had to grow to love, was perfect. Perfect ending. I can no longer watch the show because of how perfect it was. They brilliantly did that last episode. They set it all up from the beginning to turn Daniel Craig into the perfect Bond. And that last movie, I cannot watch it. I'm already starting to break down just talking about it. It was just brilliant. I tried to do a Daniel Craig Bond marathon not too long ago, last year. I got through the first 4, and then I started watching the first part and seeing the little girl. I knew who she was going to be when she grew up. And I lost it. I couldn't watch it. I forced myself in the first time watching it, because it's the first time watching it, and I was an emotional wreck the whole way through. It's amazing I made it through. Oh man. But yeah. And so yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Stephen. LDS Church president fails to ascend. He doesn't have authority. That's why he fails. You've been in 52 plus years and you know not the concept of authority in Joseph Smith's church. I just schooled you. Dear God. And so he says this is Christ. Bub. I have no idea what that word is. Therewith. They worship seagulls and have a monument to them. Really? He put that in quotes. I know we have the seagull monument, but on State Street there at the corner of Temple Square is the Eagle Gate Monument by Don Carlos Young, who clearly was taught by Daddy about the inverted pentagram. What are you talking about here? I don't understand. I don't know. Does your little pop-ups on your cell phone of suggested words to tap? ISCRIGHTBUP. I'm unfamiliar with that word. We can Google search it, I guess. Is Kreitbub. Maybe you're throwing in German. Nope. Doesn't recognize it as a foreign language. And so, here comes the threat. You need to humble yourself in prayer and repent. To get the right feeling, right? Who's the enemy? Get on the covenant path. Oh, he knows what I'm talking about with the covenant path, because I put it at the beginning of every single video since the first day after the last day of the latter days. It's at the beginning of every single video of mine. Or be destroyed. He threatened me to obey a false prophet who has no authority, who wants to put me in bondage, back into bondage, or I'm going to be destroyed, because God will not be mocked. Who's God? Because the Jewish Christ is who again? Who did you think the Ten Commandments was referring to? It's the Jewish Ten Commandments. It's their Christ. They're talking about the man like Moses in the Jewish law. It's not Jesus. Jasmine caught on to that one. She's smart because she reads. Hi, Jasmine. Did you watch my video where I sing to you yet? So, needle pulling thread. There was something else I was going to do, but this turned into something different. We'll cover these to get this paper thrown away. In the news that I saw this morning, a Shumway who lived in Pleasant Grove, who had been drugged by psychiatrists to help the pharmaceutical companies cause damage to the human body, cause an early death, and thus perpetuate the brainwashing of America, went off of his drugs and was going through withdrawal symptoms. News didn't want to talk about that, because the anchors supposedly have never taken drugs and don't know about the addictive process about withdrawal symptoms. That when you take drugs, your body then freaks out with withdrawal symptoms when it's time to get another fix. And I could do Ministries Just One Fix in the theme song in the description below, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the world is not enough for the church to take away your agency. And so, that's what this guy was going through. But they claim that the psychos called him schizophrenic. There's no such thing. It's a fake diagnosis for which the drugs create their category box of behavioral manifestations for what they have self-prophesied as schizophrenia. Same thing with depression. Same thing with bipolar disorder. The drugs cause you to be addicted to them, so that when it's time to take more drugs, or you decide not to take your drugs anymore, you go through withdrawal symptoms exhibiting the behavioral manifestations of what the psychologist diagnosed you with. And so none of the diagnoses are real. They are maliciously manufactured to control your behavior. I've gone over this with the now ex-Mormon Mackenzie, who talks about how she was sexually assaulted as a 15-year-old girl by a married priesthood authority, and they tried to cover it up and hide it. And so when she decided to go on a mission at 23 years of age, had her bishop's interview, and bishop asked her, is there anything in your life that hasn't been reported with proper priesthood authority that needs to be? And she says, well, I was sexually assaulted by a married priesthood leader back when I was 15, and nobody did anything about it, and it was covered up and wasn't dealt with. The bishop called the hotline. The hotline told him to call Family Services Psycho Department. She was then sent to be evaluated, and they said she's depressed. Started her on drugs, and she still believes that psychologists are legitimate, that she legitimately is depressed. She's been bullied into the false name calling by the church. And so she was denied going on a mission so that they can keep it a secret that she was sexually assaulted. And now they call her crazy, mentally retarded. She's on drugs. So whenever she talks about it, it's her illness. It's not the church. Never happened. It's her. She's to blame. Schizophrenia was first used by the Nazis in World War II to justify disappearing the Jews to have human experimentations done on them in their asylums. And then we gave them asylum in America for their war crimes, for which they've then been doing it to Americans ever since, thanking their American liberators for the opportunity to get revenge. And they've succeeded. Then in the 60s, Russia said, hey, that's a great idea. We're going to call it sluggish schizophrenia, though, and use it on our political opponents, because we don't like them running against us. And then when that was exposed as a fraud, you then have Putin, who says, oh, I have a political opponent? Well, send him a bottle of water for me. I'll meet him at the top of the 4th floor window. Oops, a plane bomb. What a coincidence. No more competition. And now I get to be president until 2036. We all know what happened. As he was locked away in Siberia, where he just died. Really? Perfect health the day before, and then dead. And so, yeah, psychology is evil. It is criminally evil. It is a national security threat. And it's got legal protection. So, yeah, this Shumway guy, no, he doesn't have a problem. He was drugged, and during an episode of withdrawal symptoms, got himself in legal trouble now. And so now he'll be disappeared for the rest of his life because of it. And then I saw, and yeah, this is the withdrawal symptoms part. This is where people become Manchurian candidates. And again, if you're not a movie buff or at least a book reader, from which it came from, there's the original movie version with Frank Sinatra, and then there's the reboot version with Denzel Washington. I like them both. It's just a different way of turning the person into a psychological weapon of zombie killing. And so, yeah, that's where we get all this from. All of these violent outbursts from MAGA evangelicals, from Islamists at the colleges and universities around the world, all of this is through psychological brainwashing and manipulation. People are not learning real historical, factual information. Just like Mormons are not being taught the correct church history, the correct information from scriptures. The church refuses to translate the Bible correctly. It says, well, we have the Book of Mormon. You just compare the Bible to the Book of Mormon and you're done. But the Book of Mormon plagiarizes the Bible, the 1769 King James Version, errors and all. Yep, 100% correct, literal history true, written by ancient prophets in the Americas. But it says it's Jewish. Nope, Christian. It's another testament of Jesus Christ. Think celestial, or you're the enemy. So, yeah. AI is an even more dangerous condition now. As Jasmine again caught it, she now caught the plot to destroy America with this election that's coming up that I already told you, the Book of Mormon told you, America will be destroyed this year. As Albert Pike threatened to destroy the whole world and destroy Christianity and Islam and all other branches, including the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, even though the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will now come out and say, hey, we're the Church of Lucifer. We've been practicing the doctrine the whole time. You know, that inverted pentagram on the keystone of the doors of the Salt Lake Temple headquarters. The headquartered Temple of Zion has the Lucifer symbol of it. And Mormons are too stupid to figure it out. I figured it out because I got married in the Salt Lake Temple, room number 13. Had our pictures taken, and both photographers made sure to get the full door in. So when we get the pictures from them, I'm going through them, and I'm looking at the keystone, I'm going, what the bleep? That's the inverted pentagram of Lucifer. What the hell? So I already knew the church was evil because they had paid to have me disappeared for 6 years of my life. But I knew that I needed to be married to protect myself. But yeah, as I then found the Joseph Smith papers, I went, oh crap, it's worse than I thought. It's worse than just a keystone. The keystone is legitimate. Dear God, talk about your evil. And so, yeah, an NBC News article from a year ago talking about ChatGPT was asking if a teacher can detect AI. You know, kids don't need to study anymore. They just go to ChatGPT and print out a book report for the teacher. And they get a passing grade and go on to become a journalist. God. And so, yeah, that's what Jasmine has uncovered, is that AI uses the psychological programming, and you can't do that for the reasons that I explained. And in The Art of War, it explains that this is a tactic to use on your enemy to destroy them, and we are witnessing it in real time. In The Art of War, there is the discussion about how to send in spies to infiltrate society and pretend to be members of that society. We've seen this with both the Russians and Islam now, because Islam has been coming into America since the law that was passed in 1965 for refugees. And they live among us as sleeper cells, as they're called. And so they do everything that Americans do. PTA, children, family, religion, all of that. They're one of us. They're at your kid's baseball game, they're there at your church, they're there when you vote, they're at PTA meetings, they become teachers, government leaders, business owners. They're American through and through, but they're sleeper cells, waiting for orders for them to be activated. In the 1980s, the Russians were activated. There was the big scandal and then a TV series that was produced about that whole incident. Americans. Very good TV show. And so, yeah, you see the dark side of the Russian nation and how they raise people. But with Islam, we have seen that they are using their religion as a cover once October 7th activated them worldwide. They deny October 7th happening, even though they cheered it. And then they go around protesting, threatening the governments, threatening the people to be against Israel. How dare Israel defend themselves? And so these Islamists are rising up saying Israel is not allowed to defend themselves. They've got to stand down and allow Hamas to continue to bomb them and murder them. A genocidal murder of the Israelis. And so notice their attacks and threats that they claim as victims. That Israel is committing a genocide against Islam. There are 2 billion Islamists in the world. There are only 16, 17 million Jews. 10% would be 200 billion. 1% would be 200 million, or no, 2 million. 10 million. Wow, no. Yeah. 2 billion, 10% of 2 billion is 200 million. 1% would be 10 million. That's close to the number of Jews. About 2% of the Islamic population, plus or minus. And so, yes, these Islamists are getting more violent. And as the cops have been forced to go and remove them, and thus arrest them, Islamists claim to be the victims. It's our religious speech. It's our religious freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion. You're violating it. We need to be allowed to call for the death of all Israelis. We need to call for the death of America because Biden is supporting them by not supporting them. Yeah, they're purposely trying to overthrow our government. They're claiming to be victims when the police arrest them, when anybody stands up and defends themselves. Now, Jews being threatened with extermination are having to defend themselves because they're not being allowed in the school. Graduations have been canceled. But the government is not shutting them down. So they're escalating. And so they claim to be victims whenever the police step in, whenever a Jew defends himself. Oh, we've been hurt. Get them. We're the victims. It's the exact same tactic that Hamas did. They're denialists, and they're rewriting history in real time. And this is what AI is doing. It's rewriting history. And Jasmine caught it. And so AI is tampering with our election. Not directly necessarily with Biden and Trump, but with the issues that affect people and how they will vote for either Biden or Trump. By saying that the Jews are wrong because they don't believe in the Christian Jesus, turns people against the Jews. And who supports the Jews? Which president? Neither, but mostly Trump, because Jared is buddies with Netanyahu. And so they're setting up Trump to be the savior of the Jews. And so, yeah, who are the major followers of Trump? Christian evangelicals. And so that video that Jasmine found is specifically directed to those who are Trump supporters, to turn against Trump, which I'm okay with, but I'm not okay with misinforming people about the Jews. This is where it's tricking and deceiving YouTube. And their AI program is incapable of identifying AI programs. Because AI is AI, and it seems to be the same. And so they don't recognize that it's a fake. Because it's what they would have come up with as AI. And so yes, this is a cyber terrorist attack that is being perpetuated on YouTube now. Oh, dear God. And so, yeah, the church, also, I caught in the church news from last night, I think it might have been 2 nights ago, but regardless of when it was actually put up, yeah, I think it was the 8th. The church, since January into April, had been going into the legislatures of the South, you know, where the hot button voting issues are going to be this election, to tamper with their elections for religious freedom purposes. It says it right there in the church news. And if you're unfamiliar with the church in the California 2008 election, Prop 8, about LGBTQIAPO plus rights. The church committed election fraud in that election. And it made the news all over the nation, and a documentary was made on it called Prop 8. And the church got slapped on the wrist, not really punished. Because 501c3 requires that the church not get involved in politics, because once they do, they have to have their 501c3 revoked. And yet the church continues to get themselves involved in politics. They would go on to tamper with judicial decisions in the California and Colorado Baker cases, who refused to bake a cake for a gay couple because of their religious freedom. And thus the church began the religious freedom movement, which is a Christian nationalist hate group. And they worked with evangelicals from their little group called the Council for National Policy, which is designated as a hate group. And here they go again, tampering with another election, still maintaining their 501c3, still getting away with their crimes, despite all the tips I've been giving to my government, as I am a citizen of the United States of America, and it is my duty to report criminal activity, not loyalty to cover up the crimes of the church, as the law of sacrifice orders me to do. Joseph Smith says we obey the laws of the land. We don't violate them and claim religious protections. Any religion violating the law is a fake religion. But again, Mormons are too stupid to catch on that Captain Moroni is a Jewish prophecy of what they were supposed to do to save America. Instead, Mormons are the kingmen overthrowing America. As Mormons participated in January 6th, Mormons participated in voting for Trump, Mormons participated in wearing the number of the beast on their forehead baseball cap, etc., etc., etc. So, hour and 13 minutes, huh? Wow. So this was nothing that I intended to do, but that's okay. Just means I still have these other videos to do for you. Oh, right, we got to cover this. On January 1st, or July 1st, sorry, Google is going to purge all of the unused accounts on Gmail. And it's expected that with the taking down of their accounts, they will be also deleted from YouTube, as subscribers who no longer exist are going to be deleted. And so I'm willing to bet that I'm going to see a purge of subscribers to a more real count, even though the real count is manipulated by YouTube's AI algorithm. Because according to the algorithm, and they even tell us that this is the way it's supposed to work, and people do YouTube videos on how it works, how to get views on YouTube, is that, you start off, you gotta do some kind of wacky, crazy manipulation to get people's attention, and then over the course of years, months and years, you build a subscriber base, and those subscribers share the videos with other people, and they share it with other people, and then you increase in number. Well, what YouTube is doing is creating ghost subscribers of not real people, so that when my videos go up, it says, well, under normal circumstances, your viewership should be increasing proportionate to the increase of the views. And so I get these ghost subscribers. And so now that my views have tanked, I'm starting to see a slow tapering off of new subscribers. And so with this purge that's going to take place on January or July 1st, I keep saying January, I'm expecting that all of those who died from COVID are going to go bye-bye. And then my subscriber number is going to tank. And there's going to be a huge panic among other creators who are going to experience this as well. And they're not going to understand it, because they most likely ignored the email from Google as I wanted to, but still paid attention to it. But yeah, there's some serious problems that are coming right before an election. So yeah, all of these things were purposely planned and orchestrated. That's why Nelson had planned to have the Salt Lake Temple finished for April conference, and he failed. You know. And so he's got other backup plans. Don't worry too much. We're still going to wait to see which one it'll be. And so as long as the prophecy of the church falling and being destroyed by the enemy doesn't happen, then Salt Lake City will continue to be Zion, as they've been preparing for as one of their options. But yeah, if the enemy does come and destroy the church or locks them up, and there's a big war over the locking up of prophets who only have titles and no authority, and then the church will claim victim and demand that the government pay them on top of the multi-trillions that they're already hoarding, and thus demand to have the land of Missouri that the Danites had consecrated for their millennial kingdom. Blaming Joseph for it, and thus take back the government. Because remember, Jesus is getting the keys of government from Biden, because they failed to get it from Trump in 2020. Yeah, they're calling the President of the United States Lucifer. Hilarious, because Nelson's baby name meaning with Marion is Lucifer. Red, star of the sea, Mars, husband of Venus, symbol of the inverted pentagram of Lucifer. So the Church of Lucifer, Lucifer, the husband. It's Ephesians. Jesus is the husband to the wife who's the church. Ta-da! Lucifer. And yes, Isaiah prophesied that his name would be Lucifer in the latter days. Amazing. And like I said, Isaiah said his name is Emmanuel. And with all the prophecies, the crossroads of Emmanuel. And sure enough, they were right. The Jewish Christ, he has come. He's been here, and you didn't listen, and now utter destruction. This year. Good job, Mormons. You're all gonna die. Not by me. Not by Stephen. But by you. Your consequences are going to lead to your death. So have fun with that. Hope you can live with the consequences and not complain and try to victim blame others for what you did.